Hey. So this one is live, I believe. I have 3 different cameras I'm kind of like using right now. So put a 0 down inside the chat if I'm live, okay? So I'm gonna be, here is my second Facebook group, here's my main Facebook group, here's for our YouTube channel. So I'm gonna be like in 3 different locations. But today I'm gonna be talking about how my mentee received $3,000 in new revenue from our local star process. Okay, so I'm gonna be breaking down like what the person did, what are the most important aspects of, you know, this business model, and how can you start growing and getting better quality clients the same way this student did. So I have some notes, and again I have a number of different cameras, so I'm looking all over the place, so forgive me if you maybe like if I'm not looking right at you when I'm talking. It's just because I have a lot of different things I'm looking at the same time. And my student actually did this without going to like networking events, without doing cold calls, without having to go and do like postcards in the mail. This is just how we go about doing it. Now, if you've seen any of our videos, or if you want some help growing your business, or maybe even starting your business, but you're just not really sure what you need to do in order to go and reach your goal, and you know that if you had some guidance, you'd be able to go and reach your goal a lot faster, go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program. Cool. So first thing is, really proper planning is going to allow you to reach your goals a lot faster than hard work ever could. Okay, so one thing that I hear a lot of people really struggle with is that they're working very, very hard. Like they're like maybe they're doing cold calls, maybe they're like knocking on business owner doors. I know when I got started, that's what I was doing. I was working very hard. I would drive like 30 minutes to go to like networking events, or I would do like 40 cold calls in like an hour, or I would go and like message people on like Upwork and do like job posts. Same thing with Craigslist. I was working very hard, but I wasn't really making any progress, any consistent progress at any time, at any stage inside the business. And I was thinking, like, you know, I'm working so hard. Like, if I'm working this hard, why am I not really making much progress? It just felt just like I was kind of wasting my time. If I was really honest, it just felt like I was wasting my time, and I got like really frustrated. It wasn't until I started learning how to be more strategic with my business that our growth became more and more steady, more consistent. So first thing is like planning, okay? So ideally what you need to do, let's say you're working at your job right now and you are trying to end up leaving your job. We need to know, number one, how much income do we need to be like bringing in order to leave our job consistently, like comfortably. Number two, we have to then think about how many clients we need on a monthly basis in order to go and reach that goal. Number three, we have to start thinking about like how many consultation calls will it take in order to hit that number of clients. Then number four, our next thing, right, is going to be how much work and do we have to do to actually go and find those. Number five is going to be like, what is going to be our platform of growth, okay? So we're going to dive through each one of those. So let's say that your average client value is going to be about $600 per month, and your goal is like $10,000 a month. That means you need about 16.67 clients. We're going to round it up to 17 clients in order to go and get to that $10,000 per month mark, okay? So the next thing is, if you have that many, like you need that many clients, how much time per day do you actually have to, number one, grow the business assuming you have no clients, but then number two, like to actually do the client work, right? Because once in the beginning, like you're not going to really have that many clients, so you have a lot of time to go and build your list, be able to talk to people, get on the consultation calls. But as you start getting more and more clients, you're going to run out of time, right? So there's kind of, you have to know how much time you have and start really shifting and like dividing out that time based on how much work you actually have, right? Because I mean, once you get to probably about like $7,000 to about $8,000 per month, you have to make sure that whatever marketing method that you were using to be in the beginning to actually get up to that, like, you know, $7,000 to $8,000 a month can carry you for the remaining $2,000 a month to get to $10,000 a month, because you're simply just not going to have that much time to do the accounting work yourself, especially if you maybe didn't price it out correctly. So always understand like how much time do I have. Now, and one thing that some people do really struggle with is really understanding that you don't need that much time per day spent on like marketing and sales in order to grow the business. In terms of sales, I always have the students in our mentorship program really focus on getting 1 to 3 consultation calls per week. Okay, that's all you really need. Now, a consultation call can take anywhere from 15 minutes to about an hour, just kind of depending. Now, in some cases, you might need to do 1 call and the person's ready to go. Some cases, you do 2 calls and the person's ready to go. I was thinking out loud. another thing too is like really understanding who is someone that resonates with you. Once women versus men. Sorry, I had like an epiphany as I was saying this out loud. I just had like an epiphany and a flashback of like what's an easier way to kind of grow your business. So like so you have to know who responds better to you. So these are called like niching, right? So there's a bunch of different ways you can niche. You can niche based on the service you offer. So like if you only do bookkeeping, you can niche based on the accounting software you use. So maybe you only use QuickBooks. You can niche down based on the industry. You can niche down based on personality. You can niche down on gender. So maybe you get along way better with men than you do with women, right? Maybe even you might do good with both, but you might notice that when you talk to men, it takes you one call and they're ready to go, versus maybe someone else, they might take you 2 or 3 calls, maybe vice versa too, right? Maybe you're a lady and you're really in tune with with women and what they're thinking. They just love you and they want to pay you as much money as possible, right? I mean, that could really work for you. It just really depends. I was just kind of thinking that out loud as I really was like going. I was like, oh yeah, that's another dimension of niching that I never really thought about, but it definitely is something you can test out to kind of see. You can niche down based on if they apply to ads or if they want to come to you organically. You can niche down based on like location. So you can only niche down to your state. You can niche down to your city. You can niche down to your country. Doesn't really matter, right? Your region, etc. But really having that plan, understand it's not always about how much time you are spending. Okay, so one person asked me a number of years ago. They said like, okay, if I quit my job today and I have 0 clients, I just spend 40 hours a week doing this stuff, like how long will it take me to go and like really reach 10K per month or 8K per month or whatever? I'm like, well, it depends. Like, what are you doing for those 40 hours a week? I mean, just being completely honest, in the beginning, you don't really have that much activity to really require 40 hours a week. When I was really growing the business, I was spending about 30 minutes a day messaging prospects on LinkedIn. I was spending about an hour responding to prospects on LinkedIn. I was spending about 30 minutes to an hour making content. I was talking to referral partners for about 15 to 20 minutes per day. And then I was doing about 1 to 2 consultation calls, right? So what does that equal? I'm just going to kind of add that up. So what do you say? 30 minutes outreach, 30 minutes responding. Okay, so that's 1 hour so far. Next, it's going to be, what do we say? Consultation calls. We'll say 1 per day, so that's 1 hour. Okay, so now we're at 2 hours spent. Another thing is going to be referral partners. So I'm actually having this conversation. We'll say 30 minutes for those. Client work. The client work is where the majority of your time is going to be spent. You should probably auction out by like 2 hours for that. And then also client meetings, right? So I like doing about 30 minutes per week per client with meetings, right? That's just what I like doing. Now, in the beginning, when you have clients, like your clients are going to want to talk to you more in the beginning. Then once you kind of hit a good stride, like a really comfortable kind of pace, then they're going to want to talk to you a lot less. But you do need to make sure you do account for that, right? That's important to account for. So what is that? That's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, about 5 hours right there that you can do. Now remember, in the beginning, if you don't have any clients, okay, well, you're not going to have 2.5 hours, per day on this stuff. Like, you're not going to have any client work to do. You're not going to have any clients to do like client meetings with, right? And then in most cases, your outreach and your response time, like in the beginning, I was doing an hour. You can really get away with like 15 minutes to about 30 minutes, but you have to use a lot more automations. Now, when I was first getting started, like the schedule I just told you, I wasn't using much automations, right? Because I didn't know about automations when I was getting started. So I was doing a lot of stuff more manually. Nowadays, I do 2 things. So I use automations, like when it comes to LinkedIn, to actually go and start the outreach process for me. I also have virtual assistants that manage like my inbox and like respond for me. So I don't even have to look inside of that. Now, virtual assistants, that's a totally different conversation for a different time. It doesn't have to be expensive to get a virtual assistant, by the way. I mean, you can get them for like anywhere between like $3 per hour to like $15 per hour, right? And like the difference between a $3 per hour virtual assistant versus like a $10 per hour virtual assistant is not really that much if you understand how to train them, how to understand like who is who. There's a lot of different factors around that, but that's the next thing. But if you notice, we only spend about 1 hour on marketing. right? And then we spent about 30 minutes, so about an hour and a half during that day on either marketing or partnership calls. That's not that much time. I mean, you can't really spend 40 hours a week just like on LinkedIn all day. Like, there's the platform, number one, won't let you send out that many messages. Number one. Number two, I mean, you're not really going to get that many responses in the beginning. So, I mean, you're just going to be sitting there looking at your phone, probably getting distracted by Facebook. So what I'm saying is it actually might be better for you to actually have a job when you're starting your business, because then you learn how to use your free time to go and get new clients. Now, I understand you might not have a lot of free time. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. What I'm saying is it makes it very easy for you to start learning the mechanics of your business while you're small, so that you can start really understanding how to utilize your time. Then when you do eventually quit your job, you can just maintain your current pattern, but you just fill up the extra 40 hours that you gain, sometimes 50 or 60, depending on like what you do for your job. You can fill it up with your client time, right? So now the prospecting hours are pretty much the same, but the only thing that changes is the amount of time you're spending on client work per week, and now you can take on a lot more clients and you can grow. Okay, now when it comes to this planning, right, not only do you have to be planning, but the next aspect of your strategy when it comes to time management is next going to be how to utilize your time to go and get the best number of clients that not only gives you your first client, but also keeps giving you more and more and more clients over time, so that it gets easier to go and grow your business, so you're not constantly having to go put in a lot of energy and a lot of effort into this thing, right? So number one, I'm thinking about my lead sources. So you've heard me talk a little bit about LinkedIn on this thing. Now, I actually like using LinkedIn plus referral partners, right? So what does that kind of mean? So on LinkedIn, you can go directly after clients, you can go after referral partners. I prefer, like when I'm beginning, like when a mentorship student is beginning, we use LinkedIn to go after referral partners, because it's easier to get people on the phone. People have leads, they can send you better quality clients. You don't need to be as skillful as if you're going straight directly to a client, right? Because if you go directly to the client, you have to understand, like, who are you selecting, what's the industry, how much money they have, are they really looking to go? Can you have a really good messenger conversation? Can you get a good back and forth? Can you follow up with them? That's a lot of different steps. And like when someone's in our mentorship program, like we do teach them that, but it is a lot harder than just going after like referral partners who can send people to you. So we're always thinking about like, what is the easiest way? Because remember, strategy. What's the easiest way to go and get the outcome I want, so that I don't need to spend a million hours doing that? So number one is lead sources. I like LinkedIn, right? Because it just gives me better quality research, so I can research a partner before I actually go put my effort, my energy, my time into actually talking to them. Okay. Next thing is going to be size clients. Okay. So the reason why I'm going to, when I'm thinking of clients, right? Client size is important because it's going to determine your level of involvement. It's going to determine your client work, the volume and the complexity. It's also going to determine the personality of your client. It's also going to determine the amount of headaches that can come with a client. Now, what do I mean by that? So generally, larger clients are going to pay you more because they have a higher volume of work. If you're doing accounting or bookkeeping, they also have a much larger budget. So a company that's doing like $90,000 a year top line versus a company that's doing $900,000 a year top line have totally different mechanics, different problems, different situations, different owners, right? Not to say that someone who's making $90,000 a year is better or worse than someone who's making $900,000, but they are different, or at least the $90,000 one hasn't had the chance to kind of become the $900,000 per year person. So they're not bad, but I'm just saying when you're starting out, you want to be very selective with who you're actually talking to and working with. So another reason why it's important is because, right, the larger clients will pay you more, so that means you need a lot less clients. In the beginning, we did that math equation where we said, okay, it's about 16 to 17 clients we need to get to $10,000 a month. But that was based on $600 per month as your average client price point, right? So what if you got that up to 1,000? Okay, well now you only need 10 clients, so that's less. It's about 7 less clients. That means you can actually get there a lot faster. What is that? That's 30% less clients. That means you get there 30% faster. Okay. Same thing if you went to, we'll say, $2,000 a month, right, is your average client value, because now you need 5. So now, originally you need 17, but now you only need 5. What is that? That's like a 60 to 70% decrease in the number of clients needed, right? So you'll get there 60% faster to your goal. Same thing with 5, right? If you go to $5,000 a month, your average client value, you need 2. right? So it's getting exponentially easier to reach your goal because you need less clients, and thus it's going to take you less time because you don't need quite as much marketing or quite as many consultation calls to going into that goal, right? So again, strategic. That's the name of this value in this video, is strategic. Okay. Another thing, clients that are generally between like $500,000 to about $5 million are generally less chaotic than clients that are doing about $0 to about $200,000 per year, or sub $500,000. Now, the exception to that rule, and every rule has an exception, is that the companies that are like 500 to 5 million that are trying to grow, that can be chaotic, but it's chaotic for a different reason than probably what the companies that are here. Companies that are here, they're still trying to find their footing in the market. They're trying to understand, like, is their business viable? Are they going to be here 2 months from now? They might have cash flow issues. The owner might be a little bit more stressed. The owner's going to be actually doing the work themselves. The owner's going to be a little bit more busy. The owner's a little bit more overwhelmed, right? So it's a lot more of a tumultuous, emotionally kind of part for the owner you're working with, and that can cause you to be a little bit stressed out too, because in a lot of cases, if you're not trained on how to not absorb the owner's overwhelm, it can cause you to be overwhelmed, especially if they're calling you and texting you and they need a report, so they need to know exactly how much they make, because if they don't know how much they make, they might have to overspend something. They're busy, their bank account goes down, now they're panicking and they're freaking out. Versus a company that's more of like, we'll say like $1 million a year, they're generally a little bit more relaxed. They can have more of a forward thinking. The more money someone's making, the more like stable the business is, the more that they are looking into the future of, like, you know, when are they ordering, let's say, inventory? When are they going to be paying their contractors? How are they going to be structuring their business? What is their position in the market, right? And they can kind of take more of a strategic view and a strategic look rather than always being in survival mode. Now, again, when they start growing, that's going to change a little bit, but it's not going to be really stress because they don't know what they're doing. It's more stress that things are breaking. Okay, the stress of things breaking in your business is a lot better stress than stress of, am I going to be in business tomorrow? So you have to understand, like, what is that trade-off when you're dealing with those clients, because that's going to make things a lot more fun. Like, it's very fun when you're dealing with a client who is at $500,000. They know they can go get to $1 million. Just like tighten a couple things up, and they know exactly how much they have to spend on advertising. If they had better financial statement, like, that's a really fun kind of client, because you can really see someone's life change right in front of you, and you get to be a part of that client's, like, you know, life-changing journey. So I really enjoy that part of the process. That's really why I love, like, accounting and bookkeeping, because you're working with successful people as they're growing, right? Like, imagine if you could, like, work with, like, Elon Musk when he's first getting started with his business. Like, that's awesome. It's a fun place. You get to be excited, you get to be energized with your clients, and that's just amazing in my opinion. You know, cool. Next thing is local. Okay, so networking and how to do, like, marketing without having to go to networking events. The problem with networking events, in my opinion, and this is just from me when I was doing networking events to grow my bookkeeping business, number one, the time of day. So they're always like in weird times, either like at 6 o'clock, which is like dinner time. If you have a family, it's really hard to do that, or they're during like the middle of the day. It's not like it's 12 o'clock like middle of the day. It's either like 11, 10 a.m., 3. It's just at weird hours, right? So if you have a full-time job, it's hard to make those, especially if the networking event's like 30 minutes away from your job, because like you don't have time to drive, maybe do the event and then come back to work, right? It's always during a weird time to like take time off work, or to, like, you know, pretend it's like a doctor's event, whatever the case might be. I don't know you in this situation, but that's just, you know, what I had to do. So it's just weird time. And then the other thing is, like, it's really hard to predict who's going to be at the event. So you take all this time, you finally get to the event, and then, like, it's just a bunch of, like, business owners that are just getting started, right? Because those are the people that want to network. Those people who are trying to grow their business, right? The better way that I like doing, and this is called like the local star process, is learning how to utilize LinkedIn and making the geography of your search going to be like local to you, and start getting referral partners there. Then if the referral partner wants to meet with you in person, you can schedule the call at a time that's convenient for you. Maybe it's the weekend, maybe it's this. Like 2 weeks ago, we had he was a person that does taxes. He just wanted to come and hang out at like lunchtime. So we just went out to this like restaurant. Okay, that would be considered, in my opinion, that could be considered like a networking kind of situation, but it was not a networking event. right? So we networked, we talked, we saw who we could send to us, we saw how we can help them out. We talked about like some, you know, tax clients that we offer taxes in our company, so it's like that's something new we offered like this year. But like in the past, we used to like refer a lot of like tax business, and we just started saying like, it's not like it's that much hard. So we just started doing taxes this year. So like, we kind of talked about like the remnants of some of the people that we'd be thinking about referring, or if it's someone like it's just a complicated tax situation we just don't want to do ourselves anymore, right? Then we would still refer, and he wanted to give like leads to us. But it's just better, it's just more convenient, and you're actually dealing with someone that can send you leads. Like we literally got a lead, I think it was about 4 days after we spoke, after we had like the initial conversation. So we had a conversation on the phone, then we went out to the lunch. So from the time we spent on the phone to when he sends the lead, he sends like the lead the day after lunch, but it was really based on the first conversation we had with them. It was actually really cool. I'm just like really grateful, but it doesn't have to take a lot of time, okay? And it's just about being strategic. So a lot of selection had to go into like, who is this person? Is this person able to help us out? What does this person's business kind of look like? How much revenue they're doing? Do they have like clients? Like, what does that kind of look like? And then our plan, our goal for not only ourselves, but every single student in our mentorship program is you're trying to shoot for 10 referral partners. So 10 referral partners that can send you between 1 to 4 consultation calls over the span of like a year in order to get between 10 to 40 new clients. Now, the difference between 10 versus 40 clients is pretty monumental, but it's just for most people, that's a very safe range. Most people, they can get to about 20 clients. They're generally going to be at 6 figures, and from there they can choose if they want to stay at that same spot or they want to keep growing, right? Because not every single person wants to be at 30, 40 grand per month, right? Some people really just want to be at 10K per month, enjoy their life, and just have like a really good standard of living without having to really worry about money or like worry about their bills. So it just kind of depends on you and your situation. And if you want to learn more about like our marketing, on our YouTube channel, we have like a lot of different tutorials. But if you want to just kind of skip those trial and errors, and just skip all the videos and just get like straight to the source, straight to exactly what you need to do to grow your business, go ahead and click the link inside of the description, either above or below the video, depending where you're watching it, to see if we can help you inside our mentorship program. Everything we talk about in these videos are stuff we work on inside our mentorship program, because that's the stuff that I know the most, the stuff that I know the best, and it's just the easiest way for me to be able to go and take you from step A to step B, which is generally going to be you at your goal. So if that's you, if you want to see if I can help you out, click the link either above or below the video, book the call, let's see if we can help you out inside the program, okay? On the call, we're just going to take a look at like, where are you right now? Where do you want to go? What does the path look like for us to achieve that together? If it makes sense, we'll talk about the pricing, we'll talk about the structure, and we can get started towards your goals, okay? So if that's you, love to see you on the call. If you're not quite ready, that's A-okay too. I will see you inside of the next video. Take it easy. Talk to you soon. Have a good one.